They'll have to earn their way like normal people, my mother-in-law, Margaret, announced at the dinner table, her voice dripping with barely concealed disdain. After all, they're not technically blood relatives. She cast a pointed glance at my twins, Emma and Noah, who were quietly doing their homework in the next room. My heart clenched as I watched my 8-year-olds pretend they hadn't heard their grandmother's cruel words. I'm Sarah, and for the past decade, I'd watched Margaret shower her daughter's children with endless privileges while treating mine like second-class citizens. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Her daughter Kate's kids, Madison and Tyler, had just received trust funds worth $100,000 each for their 10th birthday. Meanwhile, my children, who were only 2 years younger, got a brief lecture about the importance of hard work and self-reliance. "Mom, that's not fair," my husband James protested, his hand finding mine under the table. "Emma and Noah are your grandchildren too." Margaret's perfectly manicured nails tapped against her wine glass. "James, darling, you know I care about them, but we have to be practical. The family money should stay within the bloodline. Kate's children are direct descendants of the Wilson name." I bit my tongue, tasting copper. The Wilson name, that's all Margaret cared about. The fact that James and I had been married for 12 years, that I'd supported him through medical school while Kate lived off her trust fund, that our children excelled in school and showed kindness to everyone they met, none of that mattered to Margaret. Besides, she continued, gesturing toward Emma and Noah, "It'll build character. Look at Sarah. She didn't grow up with money, and she turned out adequate." James stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "That's enough, Mom. We're leaving." The drive home was silent, heavy with unspoken words. In the rearview mirror, I could see Emma and Noah whispering to each other, their faces serious beyond their years. They'd always been perceptive, understanding more than we gave them credit for. That night, after tucking the twins into bed, I found James in our home office, staring at old family photos. "I'm so sorry," he whispered as I wrapped my arms around him. "I never thought she'd go this far." "It's not your fault," I assured him, though my heart ached. "But we need to protect them from this. They're too young to understand why their grandmother treats them differently." The next morning, Emma surprised me while I was making breakfast. "Mom," she said, her small face serious, "is Grandma right? Do we have to earn everything because we're not real Wilsons?" I dropped the spatula I was holding, gathering her into my arms. "Listen to me, sweetheart. You and Noah are exactly who you're meant to be. Some people measure worth by names and money, but that's not what makes someone special." "But Madison and Tyler get everything," Noah chimed in from the doorway. "They have new bikes and fancy camps, and now they're rich too." I looked at my children, Emma with her determined green eyes, Noah with his gentle smile, and made a decision. "How about we start something new?" I suggested. "Let's create our own special fund. Not with money, but with achievements and memories." Their faces lit up as I pulled out a decorative box from the craft cupboard. "Every time you accomplish something, big or small, we'll write it down and put it in here. Every act of kindness, every goal reached, every moment you're proud of. It all goes in." "Can we decorate it?" Emma asked, already reaching for her art supplies. Of course, I smiled. This is our family's treasure box. That afternoon, we covered the box in stickers, drawings, and photos. The first entries were simple. Noah helped a new kid at school. Emma learned to play Twinkle Twinkle on the piano. We both got A's in math. What started as a way to heal their hurt became something more. The twins threw themselves into every opportunity with enthusiasm. They joined the school's science club, volunteered at the local animal shelter, and spent hours practicing their respective passions. Emma with her music, Noah with his robotics. Margaret's words still stung, but they became background noise to the symphony of my children's growth. While Madison and Tyler spent their weekends at country clubs and expensive camps, Emma and Noah were building something far more valuable: character, resilience, and a deep understanding of what truly matters in life. One evening, about 6 months after the trust fund incident, I overheard Noah telling Emma, "You know what? I'm glad we have to earn things. It makes everything feel more special." Emma nodded sagely. "Yeah, and Mom says the best things in life aren't things at all." Their wisdom brought tears to my eyes. Margaret might have thought she was punishing them, but instead she'd given them an unexpected gift: the drive to prove their worth not through money or names, but through their actions and hearts. Little did Margaret know, her attempt to diminish my children would set in motion a chain of events that would shake the very foundation of the Wilson family's values. The journey ahead would test us all, but as I watched my twins grow stronger and more determined each day, I knew we were on the right path. The treasure box sat proudly on our mantel, filling up with notes, medals, and memories. It wasn't worth $100,000, but its value was immeasurable, and this was just the beginning of our story. 5 years flew by, and our treasure box overflowed with achievements. Emma and Noah, now 13, had transformed from quiet, uncertain children into confident teenagers who pursued their passions with remarkable dedication. Emma's musical talent had blossomed beyond simple piano pieces into complex compositions that left her teachers speechless. She wrote her first original piece at 11, dedicated to children who felt different or excluded. When she performed it at the state music competition, there wasn't a dry eye in the audience. Noah, meanwhile, had turned his love for robotics into something extraordinary. He designed a simple assistance robot to help elderly residents at the local nursing home carry their belongings. The project started small but caught the attention of local tech enthusiasts who volunteered to mentor him. Madison and Tyler, on the other hand, had grown into exactly what Margaret had hoped for. Perfectly polished teenagers who looked good in family photos but seemed to lack any real drive or passion. Their trust funds had grown, and they never missed an opportunity to remind everyone of their privileged status. One Sunday afternoon, during another tense family dinner at Margaret's house, everything shifted. Kate's husband, Richard, burst in, his face ashen. "The investments," he stammered, looking at Margaret. "They're gone. Everything's gone." The room fell silent. Margaret's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. "What do you mean gone?" "The firm I trusted, they were running a Ponzi scheme. All the investments, including Madison and Tyler's trust funds. They've lost everything." The chaos that erupted was immediate. Kate started crying, Madison and Tyler looked shell-shocked, and Margaret's perfectly composed facade cracked for the first time I could remember. "But the children's future," Margaret whispered, her voice trembling. "All our careful planning." I watched the scene unfold, feeling a complex mix of emotions. Part of me felt vindicated. The money Margaret had used to create division in our family had vanished. But seeing the genuine fear in Madison and Tyler's eyes stirred something else in me. They were just kids who'd never learned to stand on their own feet. That evening, Emma and Noah surprised us all. "Mom," Emma said during dinner, "we want to help Madison and Tyler." Noah nodded earnestly. "We know what it's like to feel like you have to prove yourself. Maybe we could show them what we've learned." James squeezed my hand under the table, his eyes shining with pride. Our children, who had every right to feel bitter, were choosing compassion instead. The next day, Emma invited Madison to join her at the community center, where she taught basic piano to younger kids. Noah asked Tyler to help with his robotics project at the nursing home. At first, their cousins were resistant, uncomfortable with anything that didn't come with instant recognition or reward. But slowly, something beautiful began to emerge. Madison discovered she had a natural talent for teaching music, her patience with the young students revealing a side of her we'd never seen. Tyler, despite his initial reluctance, found satisfaction in solving practical problems with Noah's robotics project. The transformation wasn't just in Kate's children. Margaret, stripped of her financial power, started seeing her grandchildren through a different lens. She attended Emma's music recital for the first time and actually listened. She visited the nursing home and watched Noah explain his invention to the residents, their faces lighting up with joy. One evening, as I was helping Emma organize sheet music in her room, she said something that stopped me in my tracks. "You know, Mom, I think Grandma was right about one thing. We did have to earn our way, but not because we weren't real Wilsons. We had to earn it because that's how you build something that lasts." I hugged her tight, marveling at the wisdom in my teenage daughter's words. Our treasure box, still sitting on the mantel, had become more than just a collection of achievements. It was a testament to the power of perseverance, kindness, and the true meaning of family. The money that Margaret had once used to divide us was gone, but something more valuable was taking its place: understanding, respect, and the beginning of real healing. As I watched all 4 cousins working together, sharing skills and supporting each other, I realized that sometimes the best lessons come from the very challenges meant to break us. We were nowhere near the end of our journey, but the path ahead looked brighter than ever. The next chapter would bring its own surprises, ones that would challenge everything Margaret thought she knew about success, family, and the true meaning of legacy. 10 years after Margaret's cruel pronouncement about trust funds, our family gathered for what should have been a typical Sunday dinner. But this time was different. Emma and Noah, now 18, had just received life-changing news that would forever alter the family dynamic. Emma had been awarded a full scholarship to Juilliard, her original composition about family acceptance gaining national recognition. Noah's robotics project had evolved into a patented innovation, earning him both a full ride to MIT and substantial interest from major tech companies. As we sat around Margaret's formal dining table, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken emotions. Madison and Tyler, who had adjusted well to life without trust funds, sat close to their cousins, genuine pride in their eyes. Kate, my once haughty sister-in-law, reached over to squeeze my hand, a gesture that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. Margaret cleared her throat, commanding everyone's attention. Her hair had grayed considerably over the years, and the lines around her eyes spoke of lessons learned the hard way. "I have an announcement," she said, her voice wavering slightly. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about legacy and what we pass on to our children." She pulled out a familiar box from beside her chair, our family's treasure box, the one we decorated all those years ago. "Sarah," she turned to me, tears in her eyes, "you taught this family something I failed to understand for too long. True wealth isn't in trust funds or family names. It's in this box, in the memories, achievements, and kindness we create." She opened the box, pulling out yellow papers and faded medals. "I've read every entry, every accomplishment, and I owe your children, my grandchildren, an apology." The room fell silent. Margaret had never apologized to anyone in her life. "Emma, Noah," she continued, 10 years ago, I said you needed to earn your way. I meant it as a punishment, a way to separate you from this family. Instead, you showed us all what it truly means to be worthy of the legacy we carry." She stood up, walking to a cabinet that had always been locked. From it, she retrieved a stack of documents. "I can't create trust funds anymore. That money is long gone. But I can do something else. I'm transferring ownership of this house to all 4 of my grandchildren equally, not because of their blood or their name, but because they've all learned what matters most." James gripped my hand tightly as Emma and Noah exchanged shocked glances with their cousins. The house, the symbol of everything the Wilson name had represented, would belong to all of them. "That's not all," Margaret added. "I've established a scholarship foundation in honor of Emma and Noah. Every year, it will help children who, like them, need to earn their way. It's not much yet, but it's funded by the sale of my jewelry collection. It turns out letting go of material things can build something far more valuable." Madison stood up first, wrapping her arms around Emma. "You deserve this," she whispered. "You both do." Tyler nodded, fist-bumping Noah with tears in his eyes. Kate moved to stand beside me. "You raised remarkable children," she said softly. "Thank you for showing us there's more than one way to build a legacy." Later that evening, as we helped clean up, I found Emma and Noah adding new notes to the treasure box. "What are you writing?" I asked. "The day Grandma learned what family really means," Emma smiled. "And the day we all became equal in the eyes of the Wilsons," Noah added. Looking at my children, confident, compassionate, and wise beyond their years, I realized that Margaret's cruel words had inadvertently given them the greatest gift of all, the chance to prove that character, not circumstance, defines our worth. The trust funds that once divided our family had disappeared, but something far more precious had taken their place, a legacy of love, understanding, and the knowledge that the most valuable things in life can't be bought. They must be earned through kindness, perseverance, and an unwavering belief in oneself. As we drove home that night, our family forever changed. I couldn't help but smile at the irony. Margaret had wanted my children to earn their way, and they had. Not just to success, but to something far more valuable. They had earned their way into her heart.